Lance by Chance. The untold story of him wrestling as a Von Erich. LanceByChance.com.
Fans, welcome back for Working Fans Wednesday, episode 26. This week, we're going to talk top Starrcade main events since we talked top WrestleMania main events last week, as well as talking about tonight's MLW and AEW cards. Now, in addition to the social medias listed there, you can find us on Twitch. We are Fans Working. Facebook, we are the Working Fans Podcast Facebook page. Email workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. Our YouTube is youtube.com/c/workingfanswrestlingpod, or you can search Working Fans Podcast. Website, workingfanspodcast.com. Now, our podcast releases every Tuesday, our comedy podcast, while our wrestling podcast releases every Thursday. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Cast, any major podcast provider. The important thing is please like, rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to us. Now, let me play a quick commercial for you, and we'll show you some of the great sponsors we are brought to you by.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar, told you that I go far. Baby, it's crystal clear. I'm not a souvenir. I'm not an accessory, I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now. I'm a necessity, so come and check me out now.
A variety of great sponsors. First is 482 Designs. That's FOUR82designs @gmail.com. Email them over there with any of your screen printing needs. We've gotten some great t-shirts, some great stickers from them. WrestleTopia, JD Sloan has been on the show. At WrestleTopia on Twitter, WrestleTopia on Facebook. I mention it all the time. Great Tape Trader has some awesome Google Drive sales. Message him over there. See what he has. You saw the commercial at the top of the show, Lance by Chance. That is written by Vinnie Berry and Lance Vaughn, and it's the story of how Kevin Vaughn became Lance Von Erich and then Lance Vaughn. His life before wrestling, how he got into the business, and the wild life he's led since then. This is a book anyone can enjoy. Now, last but not least, we are brought to you by The Buzz. They're our podcast home, our podcast family, if you will. Before we get into the live 531, I'm going to play a quick commercial showing you the variety of audio podcasts we offer. Now, you know that Dave and I are the commentary team for Knockout Wrestling, and that AJ hosts the Knockout Rewind podcast. Go check out the Pro Wrestling Tees store for us and pick up a shirt for the company. They've got some great designs over there. Check us out on YouTube, on their social media. We will be coming out with new episodes soon. Now, before we get to the live 531, I just want to play a quick commercial highlighting some of the other great live shows on this network, and then we'll get into tonight's discussion.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them ready for war. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti ball, be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute is chosen. A path only fit for kings. And you don't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by your locksmith. On the block, throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look, what's the top dish? Tie game, through the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot quick.
Fellas, how we doing tonight?
Oh my God,
baby.
Joe! What happened during the break? Your glasses are all.
Oh my God! My God!
Holy shit!
It's Big Dick Joe Dudley.
My God, man!
But hey, before we get started with Live 531 tonight, our thoughts are with friend of the show, Chris Zauha, who lost his father this morning. I'm springing that on the guys right now. I knew about it, but didn't tell them.
Terrible
But-
segue, Joe. But yeah, I'm
You,
sorry.
you don't keep deaths in the family a secret. Like, shh, I got a surprise. Chris Zaha's father died.
Hey, but our thoughts are with him.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
Thoughts and prayers, absolutely.
to hopefully cheer his day up, we're going to talk top Starrcade main events. Is that right?
Mhm.
Anybody's day.
That's right,
Now,
baby.
Dave, you want to kick this off for us today, or should I? Because I've got your favorite main event kicking off my list.
Yeah, kick it off with my favorite main event. You know the one I love.
All right, I got Flair versus Race, Starrcade 83. I just like the fucking cage match. It was a battle for the NWA championship.
Mm.
Two of my favorite old-time guys. Might not be the best match, Dave. I'll give you that. But I still like it for what it is for the nostalgia.
Okay.
Flair versus Rhodes, Starrcade 85. I got Vader versus Flair, Starrcade 93.
Mhm.
Flair versus Savage, Starrcade 95. And AJ, this is for you. Styles versus Mahal, Starrcade 17.
Wow.
That was done in Greensboro.
Woo!
And I only included that because that is such an insult to the memory of Starrcade that you would bastardize it for the WWE like that, hold it in Greensboro, and give that to us for a main event. Fuck
AJ Styles is a hell of a competitor. You shut your damn mouth.
I know. Where is Jinder Mahal, though?
He's in a
man.
gym, keeping himself in shape.
Yeah, he's in shape, baby. He's good shape. Look at him.
Man,
I just
like a
include
12-pack.
that because I thought it was the antithesis of everything else on that
It's
list.
yeah, WWE doesn't respect Starrcade. They don't give a fuck. It was basically made for a house show so somebody could like save their job, is the rumor I heard.
In
But
Greensboro, though.
that's Cody Rhodes talking. Actually, Cody, I think, basically said that of all people to do it was Michael Hayes' idea to help like keep some heat off him. But who knows? Hey, brother's got to keep his job. I don't blame him. Vince, put that Starrcade out there.
Randy, the rap battle was amazing last night. That was the Method Man, Red Man versus that was on the Fight app,
Mhm.
which it does apply to us because it was part Triller bought
Oh, yeah.
Fight. So
Yeah,
now we're going to start airing more of those fights on there, like the Paul Askren fight.
No, it was
Yeah.
great. Way to stay on topic, Randy.
Hey, so I'm gonna give you my Starrcade list. All right.
Oh, Dave, before you do that, how
wanna
did you
go?
like Dancing with the Stars last week?
I got to check it out, but I'm glad we could talk about it. You know? I'm sorry I didn't. Check
I was
it out.
about to ask who was on there this year before I realized it was a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jake Paul, Ben Askren was a good fight.
I don't
this
even know.
weekend.
I don't even know if this is the season for
Actually,
it.
it wasn't. But anyway. Yeah. So for me, it's funny. As much as I love the tradition of Starrcade, like the main events, they're just not as. I don't know. They're a little bit like there's better matches in the end of
Hurt
the
Randy's feelings, AJ. Apologize. It
It
was amazing, Randy.
all
Way,
right.
way to keep us off topic, Randy.
All right.
He's just going full heel.
Sting versus Hogan 97. Much like Joe's reasoning for Flair and Race, actually, this match is just important. It was important to WCW, its biggest grossing box office match, I believe, of all time. It's certainly up there. And yeah, you got to include it, as far as I'm concerned, in the legacy of Starrcade. Now, one that might surprise people I have on here, you wouldn't think of the legacy of Starrcade, but I think it was a hell of a match. They beat the shit out of each other. Flair versus Ronnie Garvin, 87.
You son of a fucking bitch.
It was a great match. All right? Garvin took the belt, and it was a good show. Now, we also had Flair versus Dusty on my list from 84 with Joe Frazier, and then they ran it back. And I just had to put Flair and Dusty on here again. So Flair and Dusty 85 as well. And my personal favorite Starrcade match. My personal favorite Starrcade in a lot of ways.
I'm gonna kill you.
Flair versus Vader. 93. Because they tell this great story throughout the whole pay-per-view. They're following Flair, and his career's on the line, for those who don't know. And Mean Gene's in the car with him, and you see Flair saying goodbye to
Limo
one
ride.
of his families. Whoever his family was at that time. And, you know, they're all...
Wife number 3? 2?
Yeah, I
two,
don't remember.
two.
Ashley Flair and Reed Flair and Megan might be there too. And yeah, they're all saying, and so, you know, it's a great moment. And it was really about, and Vader busted his mouth and beat the shit out of him. And then Flair fired up. And it was just a great match. I love it. It's also very, it hits home because it's kind of when my friendship started with our co-host, Mr. AJ. I went over his house. And AJ, I'm sure you weren't going to talk about this at all. I brought this over his house on a VHS tape, and I recorded, and we watched this at his house. It was a great show.
Dude, Jason Gross saw Ric Flair and Ronnie Garvin at cage match in Pittsburgh.
That's pretty fucking cool.
That is freaking
Now that's
awesome.
how you interrupt the goddamn thing. Randy,
Yeah.
take notes.
Yeah, Randy, way to go, Randy.
Yeah, he did have a daughter, and it hurts, Randy. Just kidding.
I can't
somebody-
imagine seeing Flair Garvin live.
That was so
Especially
cool. In
in cage
Pittsburgh,
match.
too, because that's not a strong NWA territory. They would go to Philly and do some shows up here, but it wasn't
Well,
like
Ron
it was,
Garvin
you know,
might have actually had a chance there, whereas in Chicago, they shit all over Ron Garvin. They didn't buy him as the champ at all for that match.
No, they didn't.
Chicago, home of the Sauhas.
Yeah.
But that is that they had great chemistry though. Flair and Garvin, you know, you can say what you will, in the ring they had great chemistry, and Flair brought out the best in Ronnie, and Ronnie brought out the best in Flair. So
Battle
cool
of the
story too.
Chops, too.
Shout out
All
to
right.
Jason, first time commenting here, but awesome.
All right, so from the original, I'm gonna have Race versus Flair, because even without Gene Kiniski gracing us with his presence for that match, I think it's still just an iconic main event.
Okay. Sure.
That's all right. I still love you, Randy. That's
Come on.
and the winner of a rap battle between me and Dave would be me because I would cheat. I've also got Ric Flair versus Lex
How do
Luger.
you cheat at rhyming?
Oh, I would just throw salt in his eyes.
6, 7 years old. That's cool.
Ric Flair versus Lex Luger for the NWA World Championship in 1988.
Stop
I'm gonna
for blood.
Yeah, the reason why this, believe it or not,
This is a shit main event, by the way. It got a heat with the actual company. The crowd was pissed because Luger has the torture rack and Flair about to make him tap, and he's got a cut that they stop for blood. The shoot of this all is that Luger barely nicked himself, and it was very little blood, and the ref called it. This is the main event that Tony Schiavone said on What Happened When, that the fans wanted to kick their ass, and they wanted to get the hell out of there.
So the reason why this is one of my favorite main events is because I was a Flair fan. I thought it was the greatest thing that had ever happened.
It's so bad.
Flair had really shown him.
Oh, my God.
I'm glad Dave forgot to mention this one. Big Van Vader versus Ric Flair from 1993. I don't know how that didn't make his list.
Weird.
But it's the one that kicked off our friendship.
Yeah.
Very
We didn't, by the
emotional.
way, rehearse this. This actually is, he legitimately had this, so that's kind of funny. I believe it.
I made all three of them.
I also, unlike Dave, have Ron Garvin versus Ric Flair from Chicago, with Flair winning the belt back because I was a huge Flair fan, and the idea of Ron Garvin even having a world championship annoyed the crap out of me.
You're right. Flair won it back from Garvin there.
This was actually where Flair got it back. Thank God.
Yeah.
And I do agree with Dave also. Hogan versus Sting, because it's just one of those things where it was such a high point in the Monday Night Wars and such a high point in the career. I just wish Sting had tanned himself up a little bit.
Mhm.
I think that he would have had a longer run.
Yeah, I mean, that was a joke of a finish. It basically made my list because it just meant so much to WCW at the time, and the build-up for the program was so important. But boy, that's definitely one of those ones WCW really fucked up there.
As an honorable mention, I've got AJ Styles versus Jinder Mahal.
Jake rule is in effect.
All right. So what are we doing here for a final three here? I feel like Sting and Hogan made our list, right?
That made 2.
Okay. Did it make your list?
Vader, Flair,
Oh,
made all lists.
All right. That's got to be in there. Yeah.
Luger and Flair.
Luger and Flair
No.
made. We had a lot that made. We had a lot that made like 2 lists.
Joe, did you have Luger Flair?
I did not have.
No, I
Luger.
didn't make 2. No fucking listen to this ass clown. It's not getting the final 3. All right. Flair, Vader, Hogan, and Sting are definitely there.
I believe the other one is the original Harley Race.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Put it in there. All right. Flair and Race. I'm fine with it at this point.
We can put it in there because it'll probably be the first one bounced.
What?
Depends how you want to look at this.
Flair versus it's the okay. So on a
Let's
serious
talk
note,
about this. It's the two most important matches on the list are actually not my favorite. The 2 most important matches on the list are the first Starrcade, Flair and Race. I will give it that.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Flair Hogan. I'm not going to bounce Flair and Vader, but I'm just saying.
So here's the reason why, and this is a serious reason as to why Flair versus Race. That first Starrcade was the first real pay-per-view of the kind, even though it was on closed circuit. And then it was freaking the real passing of the torch from Harley Race to Flair. Before that, obviously they had gone back and forth, but this was the beginning of Flair's longest reign.
Mhm.
And it was the time period in which he would really truly come into his own. So without this match and without Harley doing the job in the way that he did, that's why this match is so quintessential and so important.
And for that reason, I'm going to bounce the most heavily promoted Starrcade main event of all time. It's Sting and Hogan, because I think Flair and Vader should move on to the finals.
Well, and the fact of the matter is that while they did a great leading up to the main event between Sting and Hogan, they didn't deliver in the ring.
They didn't. No, it was awful. And we're talking about Starrcade. We're talking about the Crockett's, where this whole thing started. No.
And Flair,
you don't get to go to the finals.
And quite frankly, Flair and Harley delivered in the ring up until Kiniski fucks it up.
You know what? Here's the thing. I love Flair. I like Harley. They're 2 of the best of all time. You can definitely tell I'm more of a Flair guy when I talk like that, but I actually kind of prefer Harley in the shoot interviews. So years on, knowing more about Harley, I just think he's such a badass. But I don't have rose-colored glasses when I watch this match. I just don't think it's one of my favorites. I think there's just spots.
It doesn't hold up the way that. And here's the funny thing:
there's other matches they did that do hold up, though.
Well, that's the amazing thing is they had literally hundreds of matches leading up to this.
Chuck coming in full heel.
Yeah, well, you know what? You got a lot of class, Chuck, but it's all low, pal.
We found the one person who doesn't like Flair other than his ex-wife.
His ex-wives. Yeah, all right. So I think we gotta go down to Flair, Vader, and Flair and Race. And hey, my vote. It's favorite. It's not greatest. It's favorite. I'm voting for Flair Vader. Start of our friendship, AJ. What's that mean to you?
See, I like Flair Race, but the lead up to Flair Vader, the whole trip to the venue, that is something that's iconic that even Cody Rhodes tried copying within the last year or so.
Well, the other thing that people forget, and for those of us that watched it live when it happened, there was questions whether or not Flair was actually going to retire. There were questions as to whether or not he still had it, if this was going to be it for him.
Plus,
and it was very emotional.
Such an amazing run by Vader at that time. Vader was one of the most dominant WCW.
He was destroying people.
Yeah, actually, an argument me and AJ had about heels earlier. Vader was one of those first dominant heels where he didn't really cheat that much. Didn't do a lot of chicken shit things. He used to just beat people up, and I'm not saying he never did, by the way.
And I think, but it made him popular, and it did. It ended up making him popular.
And what was part of who was part of the package with Vader during that time during his run?
Harley Race, baby.
Died in, but
and because you have all three of them, woo! Starrcade 93, baby.
Well, we're going to end up
It's got to be Flair Vader.
This doesn't happen often, but I think the three of us actually agree here. And I think I figured it out. I think that Flair must owe Chuck some money.
Viagra is all you need
I
to live forever.
I think Flair owes a lot of people some money.
Let me say something. Cocaine and Viagra sounds like a good time to me, Chuck. Woo!
First of all, Chuck, it's Blue Chew.
Get some Blue Chew back.
All right, so guys, now that we settled on the 5-3-1, are you ready to talk a little AEW tonight?
Oh, absolutely. No. Wait a minute. Breaking news.
I got something else I want.
Oh, geez.
Wait a minute. I got breaking news. We've been talking WCW. We've been talking Starrcade. We're going to bring back the favorite segment of all the kids.
We didn't plan this.
1991 trading cards. We're going to open this pack up. I'm going to look inside. We're going to go through the cards, pick two people, and they're going to go head to head, and we're going to debate it.
Oh, man.
Oh, my
He's
God.
losing his voice.
I can feel the electricity.
He's shot.
The voice is going. Guys, you're not going to believe this first card. Boom! Eligate!
Oh, that's brutal.
Eligate!
That's Jinder Mahal, AJ Styles main event worthy right there.
Boom!
Let's hope
I
we
think
get
that's
another
Jinder
one.
Mahal's father. And by the way, Josh DePort chiming in. The worst thing that Flair ever did was create his son Charlotte.
Get that gem mint.
Oh, we're hoping. Fabulous Freebirds.
Oh, okay.
I think they popped up last time.
Dirty Dutch Mantel.
Wow. Dutch Mantel.
I got one of those autographed by the Dutch.
Oh!
Sick.
Doom is back again.
Nice.
Guys, I know the Sid Vicious group is watching this because, oh, look who's here.
Psycho Sid, baby.
Oh, former guest of the show and one of our childhood favorites, Ricky Morton, baby.
Nice.
Nice.
I thought it was Gary Michael Capetta for a second.
Steiner Line. The
that Scott
Steiner
Steiner?
brothers.
Oh, it's both sides.
Flying Brian Pillman.
Nice.
Just in case we didn't think he was big enough, Eligate's in twice.
Oh, no.
Doom
Can
is
we
in
put
twice.
Elegante versus Elegante?
And Flying Brian.
His back.
He's in
Dude.
twice. Jesus.
Joe,
You know what?
Pick some guys out of that. Pick 2 teams or 2 guys, and we'll discuss who's
Dude,
better.
why don't we? Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we go light heavyweights? We can debate 2 of the best of all time. We've got Flying Brian and Ricky Morton.
Mhm.
Or how about 2 of the best big men of all time, Sid Vicious and Eligate?
Fuck out of here. Sid's
Or
I'd say you
Or-
could beat Flying Brian and Ricky Morton, but it's almost a weird debate because Ricky Morton more thought of with the Rock and Roll Express,
wait a minute,
where
guys.
while Flying Brian did do tag teams, he was mainly a solo guy.
I got one more option for you. Most racist Southerner, Dutch Mantel versus Michael Hayes.
Ooh.
Michael did say the N-word around Mark Henry, so I think he was that one.
Whereas Dutch Mantel did spend the majority of his career wrestling in Puerto Rico, so can't be that racist.
No. Good guy, that Dutch.
So we go. Are we going Flying Brian and Ricky Morton? Is that what we're?
I'd say do that because
Okay.
you're going to do one of the best high flying singles in WCW versus one of the best high flying tag teams.
Okay.
Even though
Absolutely.
Morton had a solo run, I think you think of him more as a tag wrestler.
Okay.
Yeah, and when it comes to Flying Brian, we clearly think of his days with Tom Zink.
Fuck out of
See,
here.
I think more Hollywood Blondes.
Of course he thinks we're Hollywood Blondes.
Oh yeah, that
Tom Zink.
team. My bad.
I mean, he was a horseman too, but I
He
still
was a horseman.
more as a singles run.
Well,
He
instead
had
of
a
more of
great
a
one in the Heart Foundation too.
instead of more of a debate, what we can do is we can actually discuss this. I think one of the things that we can agree on, both of them were cutting edge when it came to the lighter, smaller wrestler.
Yeah.
They both helped evolve that weight bracket. You had Ricky Morton, who
Richard
even though he
Morton,
was
that's
in a
right.
tag
Part
team,
of the
exactly
York
Alexandra
Foundation.
York Foundation.
Yeah.
That's and then you had Flying Brian, who did do a great job with the freaking Bengal tights and one of the first light heavyweight champions in WCW.
The Steve Austin
So-
biography that AJ told me off air got over 1 million.
Yeah, it
in
did. It got
ratings.
over 1 million views.
Beating Wednesday Night Wrestling on a Tuesday night now.
It didn't beat. Yeah, it beat NXT. It did not actually beat.
It didn't beat
Wednesday Night
last week's
Wrestling.
AEW.
Yeah.
Now to get
Second highest
further off
rated on.
subject, did you guys watch that other show about the lost
AJ
treasures?
did.
I did. I thought it was okay. We talked about this off air. I'm not a fan of Mick Foley, the person. I don't find him
There's a better
entertaining.
way to word that. I'm not a fan of him as a person. Mick Foley, who donates all his time to
The
charity.
man, the character I'm all
The
about.
character, you
The,
mean, maybe?
the man
No,
he is.
I don't. I just don't
No.
find him. I don't find him entertaining when he's being himself.
Okay.
So the first episode featured Mick Foley, I take it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they went around and they bought. So what they're doing is they're looking for lost merchandise from events. So
Yeah.
what they did this week was they went around and they looked for the Mankind mask, the original Mankind mask. They got the shirt that he wore against the Undertaker, one of the first shirts he wore in the against the Undertaker in the Boiler Room Brawl. And then they put this stuff together and they're bringing it back to the WWE headquarters in Stamford to the warehouse because apparently they are working. The reason why they're doing this is they're working on putting together an actual Hall of Fame. So they want to put together an actual museum Hall of Fame, and so
They
they're
never
trying to get all
called it
this
that,
merchandise
though.
back.
Well, like when I watched
They
I
didn't.
watched the beginning of it. They call it like they're looking for a place where people can go and see everything. They want it all under one umbrella.
So,
Read
so to
between
me,
the
more of
lines.
a
We
museum,
want to
I guess.
control everything.
Yeah. Basically,
I have
they're
a feeling they want it to be a museum Hall of Fame type thing, but they don't want to call it that. They want to call it like the Universe Gallery.
Yeah,
The other
basically,
thing
they're
is too.
they're tired of people outside the WWE actually owning their stuff.
Huntsville, Alabama. They're looking for you.
Yeah, I was
Hey,
gonna say.
yeah, I only watched the first half of it. I thought it was a little too reality TV showish, if that makes sense. You know,
That's why I didn't watch it because like the biography is on the borderline of what I'll watch. The
Mm.
other one I was interested in, but if I didn't watch it, fuck it, it's not my thing.
If it was more gritty, if it was more like, you know, we're going through this and actually like digging and we're finding the work and you're giving me the historical significance of like, oh, I don't know, championship.
Do you want like
belts
the
or-
Benoit weight bench?
Yeah.
That's like the.
That's not the example I would have used. I would have used maybe one of Flair's.
I want the
bro.
rug from the bedroom.
I want the gold belt.
Yeah. Anyway, get back
I
to
was gonna
Morton
say
and
now that
Pillman.
we went totally off the
We
deep
totally
end.
went off the rails there. Morton Pillman.
But what they're doing is they're basically bartering this guys. Like Mick Foley for the guy for the mask or for the shirt is actually coming over and doing a pay-per-view watch along with him, where they're going to watch whatever event he wants, and Mick Foley's going to be there with him to actually watch the pay-per-view with his friends and him.
So Morton and Pillman. I thought Morton obviously had the more longevity, amazing seller.
Well, Pillman died.
Pillman died, right? Pillman was, I think, the better interview, but that's not a slight on Morton. Morton was a good interview, but Pillman was just, I think,
He was a better interview than Robert Gibson. He carried the team for it.
yeah. Morton was actually a decent interview for the time period too.
Yeah,
Like, he was good.
you talk about a tough challenge. Tom
Right.
Zink versus Robert Gibson, best interview.
I think it's Zink, actually.
Oh,
yeah, it's got
my
to be because
God.
Gibson was so bad.
That's
Uh,
however, between the two of them, I think you got to give it to Morton because he's
You
still
do.
winning titles.
yeah, that's the thing is longevity. The fact he's still out there in his career, but
The fact that he's still alive.
yeah,
The fact that he still has the same mullet.
we are seeing a we are going to see a Brian Pillman thing this year on Dark Side of the Ring, though. I'm looking forward to that. So
Yeah, and there is a lot of dark side, obviously, between the drugs and between.
there'll be a lot of stuff they can talk about with Brian.
injuries.
Yeah. Hey, AJ,
Yeah.
actually, have you? I don't know if you know much about this independent wrestler. Have you heard of MDK?
No, who is that?
Oh, yeah,
Gage?
Nick fucking Gage.
Who is it?
Or it's MDK actually. Yeah.
Nick Gage?
I know who Nick Gage is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've never heard him called
That's
that
like
before.
MDK all
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
day. Yeah.
Murder, Death,
Oh.
Kill Gang.
Murder of Kill. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Nick Gage.
He's
yeah,
actually
Nick
going to be
Gage.
one of the guys on Dark Side. They're actually looking at him, which I think is an interesting story because there's not a lot that people know about him other than like his independent career. And I don't know how. I think it's going to be fun. Yes, he is.
Well, you know that he's brought the Gulaks into wrestling.
The Gulaks.
Drew and Rory.
Yeah,
both of them actually trained
I'm
with him.
stuck on the old Southern time, Ricky Morton. I was thinking of the Goulasses, like Nick Goulas. I'm like,
No.
he
Both the
didn't.
Gulaks trained with him
Yeah,
with CZW.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's we've actually
I
talked
didn't know
about
that.
this before.
That's cool.
Now, speaking of
that's
Vice TV, MLW has programming that's popping up on Vice in the springtime.
Oh
And
yeah.
This is doing a lot. Like, wrestling is making the big upcoming on Vice TV. They've had the wrestlers, Dark Side of the Ring, obviously.
Yeah.
And now MLW is getting some programming on there, which is
Well, the
exciting.
fact of the matter is when you see companies like AEW pop a freaking 1.2 million viewers and 44% of the 18 to 49 market, that's going to make other channels want to get a piece of this wrestling. Because
Sure.
even if you do half of that or a third of that, that's a lot more than anything that's showing on Vice right now.
I will tell you this though, AJ. It was on Wrestling Observer a couple months ago. Now this is obviously when they were competing with NXT. But the average age of a wrestling fan right now, and this was AEW, this was the younger side of that 18 to 49, was like 48. So
How can
now I
that
didn't pull
doesn't
that
actually
out.
make sense?
Listen, I don't even know how you
If
figured
it's
this stuff
18
out.
to 49 and you knocked 44% of it, you're telling me that
The majority of the
1
18 to 49 demographics 48 years old, according to that source.
I'm calling bullshit on Dave Meltzer.
No, this is Brian Alvarez. Now, to be honest, too, now he's the one that pulls a lot of these ratings and stuff, too. Full disclosure, I'm not saying he's right, but I don't know where he got it from, though, and I'd be curious because it is interesting,
Shit, I didn't know El Rey was no longer a station. I love that network.
Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, I like the Lucha Underground. They had a lot of like great old school guy movies on there, too.
The only thing I don't like about Lucha
Movies,
Underground is
content.
Lucha Underground put no complete clauses on people and then didn't allow them anywhere to work.
Well, yes.
So
yes.
I'm not a fan of that. Any place that actually holds wrestlers under a contract when you have nothing.
But
for
AJ,
them
I
to
know
do.
for a fact you didn't really watch this TV show, and I wish you did because if you had, you'd be a huge fan. First off, there's a lot of things you like. Man on woman violence. Big fan of that. I know you are. And also, I know you love sci-fi, and there's a lot of science fiction. There's people dying. There's like aliens and shit. Yeah, check it out.
I feel like you don't really know me.
I thought I did.
I don't know if we know you.
I don't even like the Wars track.
The what?
Wars track.
Asshole, shut up.
That thing
I'm not even going to put over that
with
joke.
Goda on it.
Now, MLW, we got King Mo versus Robert Martyr tonight. Rocky
Gino
Romero
Martyr.
versus Gino Medina.
Ooh. Interesting.
And they're finally paying off the TJP versus Buku Dao, Idol versus Protege. And Court Bauer's going to make an appearance, I believe, to talk about the Vice TV content.
Oh, nice. And Hammerstone's, I think, has a press conference tonight. I saw somewhere, too.
Yeah.
It's been a few years since I've seen Austin Idol wrestle.
That ain't happening still.
Yeah, he's on NWA, brother.
Yeah,
AEW, baby. Woo!
NWA did have a good show again last night, by the way.
Yeah, very good. Now, AEW tonight, we were talking off air, is packed. Powerhouse Hobbs versus Christian Cage.
Yeah.
Gunn versus QT Marshall. Trent versus Penta. What match are you guys most excited for?
Hey, people might not know, too. Billy Gunn and QT Marshall, they followed that up a little bit on AEW Dark and Dark Elevation. Billy Gunn's son, I think it was Austin Gunn, right? Yeah, Austin Gunn got a win over one of the Nightmare family members, and then QT sucker punched Billy in the back, and so a little heat going on this match. QT cut a promo too about how Billy reminds them of like the kind of guy where the coach's kids always got to play on the baseball team and always got first string and always got out there first. And he's like, I was the best player, but I didn't get to play at all. So
yeah, he reminds me of the whiny little runt who always complained because the coach's kid was playing.
QT looks great, huh? Superstar, right? You a big fan?
Yeah,
We've
I
also
love the
got,
hair plug.
we got Darby Allin versus Jungle Boy for the TNT Championship.
That's awesome.
That could steal the show. Hangman Page and Ricky Starks could
Stark.
steal the show.
And Hikaru Shida versus Tay Conti for the Women's Championship.
Absolutely.
Do you think that they're going to take the belt off of Sheeta tonight?
No.
Yeah.
Now, do you see anybody coming down the line that actually puts a real? Is it going to be Britt Baker?
That would be the one. I think
Because I do like what they're doing with Britt Baker. Where
I think
she's
if Britt
now-
Baker gets it, then you're open not only with the Sheeta feud, you got the thing with Thunder Rosa to revisit back too. So
Yeah, I like what she's doing right now with the whole board and going, look, they say wins count.
right. Now
it's between Baker and Rosa. Like either Rosa gets it and it sets up the feud with Baker, or Baker gets it and she feuds with Rosa. It's just
out of everybody that's there currently too. I mean, we don't know if they're going to get some new talent out of people who just got released and stuff recently. But I would say the current storylines, everything.
Chelsea Green in
Britt
3 months.
Yeah,
What's that?
Chelsea Green's a good possibility.
Chelsea Green, and then
Well, remember, Chelsea Green's got a history with all of them too.
and
A
if
lot
she
of the
doesn't
people
go
that
to
were in Impact with her, and
if she doesn't go to NWA, I mean, Mickie James is a legend. I think that she would definitely add something to that division. I'm not saying they put the belt on her. Mickie would probably help put her over if anything, but she's talented enough still.
Or is there any crossover from Impact that could make their way in? Maybe
Something they
a
could do.
Grace, Rosemary.
We got to
absolutely.
see AEW kind of put over Impact a little bit more for this to happen. And really, it seems like the Good Brothers get to go on here and hang out with Kenny Omega.
Okay, first of all, once Kenny Omega does the job, and
Right.
actually,
I look forward to next,
Oh, you don't see
next
that
week when Rich Swan shows up with belts.
both belts, two belt Swan,
Yeah, walking in there all night long.
the unified AEW Impact Championship.
I don't see that happening for some reason, but I could be wrong.
Now, talking about Rebellion on Sunday,
Yeah,
there's only got to be one winner, right?
it's Kenny Omega.
The
baby.
winner, first of all, the winner is Randy Oscar.
First off,
Nobody wins more from that pay-per-view than that young man. I can't wait
Forget
to
about-
see him just light up.
Forget about Hackenschmidt. Forget about Thez. Forget about Race. Forget about Flair. Forget about Hogan. They're all insects compared to Kenny Omega, the
Now,
greatest
I
wrestler
feel
of
like
all
Good
time.
Brothers versus Finjuice is going to be just as good of a match as that.
That is going to be a slobber knocker.
It'd be good. Yeah, I don't know, be just as good. I think Swan and Omega will really tear it up.
I do too. The amount of
Yeah.
athleticism that Rich Swan has, and
I think they'll have good chemistry together. This is what we've seen a little bit in between the tag matches with them. I think it's going to work great. I think Swan is he's really impressed me watching him in Impact now. Like, I think he's really grown there.
he's got great athleticism. The only thing he really needs to work on is just his storytelling in the ring. But he does have great athleticism. But he's up there in the conversation.
I think he's.
I mean,
well.
I do think Omega is the number 2 wrestler in the world right now, behind Ospreay.
Maybe we'll collect that title soon too.
But I do think, like I said, Kenny Omega is just lights out, and the way he delivers a story with the hard hitting action, there's nothing he can't do in the ring. So I'm very much looking forward to that match.
I would say the thing I'm looking forward to most tonight, if we're going to eventually get to that subject, is kind of a tie. I'm going to go with it's close, but I'm going to go Darby and Jungle Boy. But Hangman, who's actually my favorite out of all these guys, and Ricky Stark is something I'm really looking forward to. I just feel like I'm a little more interested to see what they do with Jungle Boy, because I don't think they're taking the belt off of Darby, but they've been very good to protect Jungle Boy. And we always know they do clean finishes at AEW. So,
Well, Ricky Starks has been very interesting. He's the catalyst for everything that's going wrong with Taz's group. And he seems to be constantly in the face of freaking Brian Cage,
yeah.
which seems to be like a bad judgment on my part. But it's interesting to see where and if he's going to get any support in the match.
Yeah.
Because if he's getting support from the rest of Taz's group, then he might have a chance against Page. But if he keeps alienating himself, Hangman Page is in a good spot to win this match.
We'll see, because it was looking like Cage was going to be the babyface when this started, though.
Yeah.
And we'll
That's
see. I think, yeah. So, but yeah, but you're right. It also looks like Starks is like the one who's starting trouble with everybody. So, That's one thing with AEW. It's shades of gray a lot of times. It's kind of hard to like who's going to be the face or heel here. They take little turns, so it's interesting.
But I think from what I gathered earlier is we're all looking forward to Ty Conte winning the title tonight.
That's no.
And guys, I'll finish up. I think Trent versus Penta is going to be the sleeper match of the night. It's not one that you would pick as like that's definitely going to be it, but I think they're going to put out a performance that'll steal the show.
Yeah, that I like the whole team of best friends. I think that the whole group is fantastic, and they added an alien to it. So.
Hope Miro comes out and crushes everybody.
Well, everyone, thanks for joining us this week, and next week we'll get back to you with a new Live 531. Have a good one.
Pleasure was yours.